Why y'all just look so
Because you
good?
do too.
Fine.
Because you do too.
Yes,
Oh,
yes, ma'am.
I
Yes,
will
you
why.
do.
compliment.
That's why. Why you
We
asking?
are
You not
live, ladies. Hey,
Oh,
y'all.
We're alive.
hello.
Looking gorgeous.
thank
Okay.
you.
So we're going to get into it. I am so excited about this conversation. First, I'm Sharnika Howard. I'm going to be moderating this awesome panel, appropriately titled "Working Moms Are Not Okay," and we're going to get into that and dissect it. I want to note this description because I love it. It says we will expose the shortcomings of a failed system and explore the strategies moms can adopt to gain work-life sanity, not balance, because I want to throw that word away, balance, and we'll get into that later. But thank you so much, ladies, for being with us. Deshaun Wise, the Global Head of Diversity, Inclusion, and Engagement at Hilton, Takita Brown, founder of Walk One Day in Our Shoes, and Alexis Robinson, Government Assessment Program Manager at Amazon Web Services. So thank you, ladies, for being here with me. And thank you to all the ladies who are here for the Momference and, joining in.
Happy to be here.
Yes. So first question. We know in roughly 55% of US households, women were twice as likely to have primary or sole responsibility for cooking, cleaning, child care, and managing education during the pandemic. From where you sit, how has work-life balance, there's that word, shifted for Black working moms across the country over the last 15 months? And I'm going to start with you, Alexis.
Okay. So I would say the biggest shift, and I would say I have an unconventional relationship. So I'll make sure that's also clear too. I have to give a shout out to my husband, who's been my rock and support for being able to do this. To be able to kind of achieve my dreams and do all the things that I do, it would not be without him and my support system, which is my mom and my grandmother and my stepfather. So I have to shout that out first. I have a different life where I'm able to be here full time, do different things, and achieve my dreams because of the support system that I am able to have. However, that's a luxury. let's be very clear. That is a luxury that I'm able to have. But at the same time, I would say that the pandemic really raised awareness in the fact that there's a lot of people that don't have those luxuries, and it's not necessarily fair, either personally or also at work, to expect everyone, especially women of color, to have those same luxuries. Like my neighbor does not have those same luxuries. She is working, she is figuring it out, and there's a support system. But the fact that people are not necessarily automatically assuming that this is something that's going to be harder for them, having sons, having kids at home, trying to figure out how to get them to focus in a not necessarily easily focused environment, while at the same time, putting in work and getting, food on the table. That's not easy. That is absolutely not easy. And I like the fact that we're changing the word now. Balance instead of sanity instead of balance. I like that. That's exactly what it is. It's how do we still interact while the kid is sitting here at the bottom screen, like tugging on my leg and trying to figure out how to get things through. Yeah.
For sure. Takita, thoughts? Did you want to add anything?
First, it is such a pleasure to be here. Hey, mamas. I feel like I've been with y'all. I mean, I have been with y'all all day, so it's been a fantastic event thus far. So that work-life balance, it never existed. I thought it existed. I thought that leaving work early, a little early to go and get dinner and be able to cook once or twice a week was work-life balance. I thought that going to the gym once a week was work-life balance. I thought I had it together. And the pandemic has shown that what I thought I had together was not a thing. Like, I don't want that, what I had before. What was going on before, I do not want that. And I've learned that in the past 15 months. According to the New York Times, 48% of Black mothers said that the pandemic did have an impact on their ability to pay for necessities like utilities and housing and things of that nature. Thankfully, I was not in that position. I do have people close to me who were in that position. And so I think that this shift needs to continue. We're learning. I don't have the answers. I don't know really where I'm going to be at this point next year. But all I know is that the work-life balance that I thought I had going on, I don't want any parts of that going forward.
Because balance is trash.
that was, I don't know what that was, but it was not something that we need to be focusing on. We need to refocus that term, because let me tell you, being here at home with the kids and being able to still work, that's more of a balance for me. So,
Deshawn?
I like that. So I like the idea of not balance, but some type of integration, but not so integrated to the fact that you then lose yourself. So I think there also has to be some very strong boundaries. We have to be able to prioritize, yes, ourselves, yes, our families, yes, our husbands, as well as our work. And we need to do so in a very meaningful way. And so my hope is that, yeah, I'm with Dakita. I'm not trying to go back to where we were. Right. But then I also think in some ways, I know I've seen a lot of my mom friends swing the pendulum way too far to where now they're working literally around the clock. And yes, it's because you have kids at home. And so you're just trying to get work in where you can. And they're still thriving at work, but it is on the heels and on the backbreaking work of a lot of other things. And so we just need to make sure that there's a proper boundary around the integration of how we're bringing all of these elements together in our lives.
I love that. Put all that on a shirt.
All of that.
Okay, we're going to move on. So while many have noted the disproportionate effect that the pandemic has had on women in the workforce, there has been less focus on the harm it has done specifically to Black women. Black women experienced the steepest drop in labor force participation and have had the slowest job recovery. What can organizations and companies of all sizes do to mitigate this blow? And I'm going to start with Dakita.
I think that the best course of action for any company, any head of any company, HR, people of that nature, listen to your associates. This is a time for a conversation that has never been had. I've never experienced a pandemic. I'm 41 years old. So, and in this day and age, people are very vocal. My company, for instance, has offered, hey, do you need therapy? Do you need wellness sessions? Like, what can we do for you? Companies need to listen to their associates. Have purposeful sit-down discussions where you ask, like, okay, we are over the pandemic now. Everyone's back in the office. Everyone is safe. What could we have done to help you more? Now that you've gone through it, now that we're 6 months after, post-pandemic, what could we have done to help you out more? And I think that if companies do that, that is where the answers are. The answers are not in the people who were not struggling. The answers are in the people who went through this struggle, who now have a say in how companies can shift going forward.
Yeah. And so Alexis and Deshawn, I'm going to give you an opportunity to answer that. But if you could also touch on either of you in your response, like, what that looks like for women who may not be as willing to speak up and share what they need in the workplace, and how to get around the thought of the stigma that sometimes come with asking for help, especially in a work environment. So we'll start with Deshawn and then go to Alexis.
Yeah, so let me start here. I think first and foremost, the company that you're with, they have to have a culture that will allow people to feel comfortable opening up. Now, whether or not you may want to be that person to open up, they have to have that culture, and that has to be there. There also has to be some policies. I think as we are kind of now shifting, and yes, people are going back to work, I'm not convinced that everybody needs to go back into an office. I'm not convinced of that. I think we have now proven for the past year that we can be effective, and know that may not work for everybody, but I think that there should be some optionality in if your job enables you to essentially work from wherever it is that you might be, or maybe you don't have to be in the office every day in a week. I think that that's critically important. I also think that there needs to be some benefits around, like, companies need to evaluate the benefits that they have today and continue to innovate on those. So lots of companies started coming up with sabbatical programs to allow people to step away from the workforce for a period of time and then come back. So if you are very strong talent, the idea is that a company shouldn't want to lose you. They should want to find ways in which to be able to help you continue to thrive as a mother, as a wife, at home, as a caregiver. several of us are not just taking care of like maybe our children, but you may also be taking care of your parents or your grandparents. And so you have to have that freedom in which to do so. I also think that there needs to be greater flexibility, but to Simona, for your point in terms of for those people that are not yet comfortable speaking up, it could very well be that they're not in a culture that enables them and that allows them to have that voice and that comfortability. I also think that maybe they can look for sponsorship. So find your sponsor, find your mentor inside of your organization. If you have that, then you don't always have to be the advocate for yourself. You can definitely, hopefully, utilize them to be your mouthpiece in rooms and in places that you might not feel comfortable. And then I will say then, and I'll say this to all the phenomenal Black mothers in this conference today, it's like we're being sought after right now. So there's that quote that says, do not be in a place for which you are tolerated, right? But be in a place that you are actually valued. And so I would say, if where you are is not working for you, think through that, because Black women right now, for wrong reasons sometimes, are definitely being sought after by different companies. So consider that.
Yes. And I'm Sharnika Deshawn. I know Simona.
Oh, sorry, I apologize. I knew that.
It's all right. Okay, Alexis, I wanted to give you an opportunity to.
I'll be quick. The biggest thing, one, I want to echo everything these ladies said, because I couldn't have said it better myself. Like literally, like everyone that is listening right now, hear the testimony of what these women are saying, because it's the truth. But the one thing I want to add to it is I think individual managers of Black women need to understand how to enable trust and establishing trusting relationships with Black women in order for them to actually be honest. So one thing that I hate, I'm just my own pet peeve, is having management never check in ever from the beginning of time of everdom, not ever and of everdom. And then all of a sudden they're going to send me a dang survey. Don't do that. Don't do that. I don't want your survey. I don't want your scripted results. I don't want none of it. That doesn't show me you're doing anything. So I think one thing these companies have to realize is they need to have established a pattern. It's not even just for Black women. Obviously we're talking specifically about Black women, but just a pattern of caring about their employees and about the specific challenges that they're facing, and show that legacy of doing that pattern that they actually do care. Because then when things like this happen, like a pandemic, they're not wondering, oh, why are my people leaving? Why aren't people going to better places that have a better culture or better consistency with work-life balance or better feedback saying that it's going to be a better culture, a better environment for our women, our women of color, our people in general. I find that the reason why that's happening and those shifts are happening is because you're not establishing a pattern of caring, not just the one time, not just the one ask, not just waiting for something, to happen in the news and checking in on that, but just general caring about individual challenges that are happening, especially during the pandemic. That's my last plea to just managers or people in general that are, out here in the workforce that have, especially women of color as their subordinates or direct reports. It's important to do that.
Yeah, I love both points. Well, all of your points. I especially love, though, like the reminder of our own worth and priorities and assessing those even in the workplace. Okay, so Dakita, you were featured in the New York Times Primal Scream series that examined the pandemic's effect on working moms. The stories featured were extremely powerful and transparent. What are some ways each of you have been able to prevent or ease feelings of burnout? How have you readjusted your professional expectations or perspective? And we'll start with you again, Dakita.
Okay. That was quite an experience. I learned so much about myself in participating in that. I really wanted to participate just because I felt that the special needs moms and caregivers needed to be seen. That was the number one for me. It's not just we're at home working from home. It's my 16-year-old daughter with severe disability is sitting next to me because I have to physically help her in school. So the world needed to see it, and they saw it, and I'm very happy with that. So burnout, I went through many bouts of burnout, and it came in waves. And what I have learned over time is that being honest is key. For instance, getting up early, Tia talked about that earlier. And while I'm not a 5 a.m. riser and never will be, I do get up just a little earlier than my kids do because I find that well, for one, before I even get out the bed, I pray and meditate. Like before I even pick up my phone and scroll, I pray and say like, thank you for waking me up. I get my tea. I come downstairs and get breakfast started while they're still asleep. Just doing that, getting up 30 minutes earlier, that really helped me because it made me feel like I was in control. See, when my kids were waking me up, I felt like, oh my gosh, I lost so much time because I'm sleeping beauty and my daughter's standing over me like, what's up? I'm ready to go. Then the dog's barking and all these things are happening. So getting up early, that was key for me. The second thing was I missed my rides home. During my commute home, I had an hour commute. And I used to talk to my best friend, my mother. I used to listen to my podcast, and I lost all of that on March 12th. And I realized like I was missing that. So I talked to my husband and I said, listen, this might sound funny to you, but when I finish my workday here at this table, I need to leave. I need to go drive for 45 minutes to take that back because I felt like it was snatched from me and I didn't know why I was feeling the way I was feeling. Let me tell you, everyone knows, oh, mommy's about to take her ride. Okay, see you, mommy, because mommy needs to kiki with her friends and to just breathe and get that time back. So I incorporated that into my day in order to mitigate that burnout because it's certainly important. And as far as my expectations for work, I'll tell you a really quick story. Sitting at the table, this is really early on in the pandemic. My youngest daughter used to come downstairs to give me a hug in between classes. I was on a Zoom for work. So she comes to the stairs, and because I thought it was unprofessional, I stopped her. So off camera, I put my hand up and I just looked at her like, please don't come over here. I'm talking to my boss. And when her face dropped, it clicked for me. And I said, you know what? They're in my house. I am at home. These are come on over here and give me my hug. So she comes and gives me my hug really quick, go back to class. And I said, from now on, I'm not going to hide that. That is not unprofessional. I'm a mother who was working from home just like everyone else. And I'm never going to stop her from doing that again. So those are the things that I've done. And they have worked wonders. But that car ride, let me tell you, I live for that every day.
I love that. Thank you. Thank you. Alexis?
There's a couple things. For me, it's that morning walk. Before the pandemic, I don't ask me to work out worth a damn. I'm sorry, it just wasn't happening. But my husband and I was like, you know what? We have this opportunity to finally focus and actually like be together and actually work together towards a goal. And that was our health. So we're like, oh, okay, let's do it. Did not think all the sweets would be gone from the house. That's not what I planned for. That's not what I signed up for. But that happened. But the biggest thing that we started doing is because I work on the East Coast and half my team is generally on the West Coast, I start the day later. And usually before I would start the day way earlier and try to get all this extra stuff done. But I realized that was the part, as the key to mention, not having the commute, not having that place to just break away from work or just have that transition from home to work was really taking a toll. And so 8:30 to 9:30, me and my husband walk every day. And it's me, my husband, and my son in the stroller, just gone, like in the neighborhood. Now we're dodging cicadas. But you know what? It's something that's very, it's therapeutic. Because one, I get to just have that open time to talk to my husband about whatever we want to talk about, what happened on NPR, that's him, me, the ratchetry I saw on Instagram, something. Just something that is going on with us that we can able to just connect. And that way, if my day goes to 7, because it generally does, I work from 10 to 7 because of the time difference of everything, then it's not like I didn't check in with my family. The other piece was the end of the day. Like I usually would have that as a commute. I would commute it back home. But everyone knows on my team, 7 o'clock is generally my cutoff, and don't talk to me. And I might come back in just to check in, but it's after my son is down. So it's one. I think before the pandemic, people knew I had a son, but he wasn't incorporated into my life. And now everyone knows, oh, okay, Andrew's going to go down. Okay, great. Then I'm going to go ahead. Andrew's going to go down. We'll come back afterwards or not. We'll talk in the morning, whatever. And I love that. Also, I'm glad Zakita mentioned this, but like I used to be the same way when he's a 2.5-year-old, could just come in, sees me because I'm here. And he would rush into my meetings. And at first I'd be like, oh, no, stop, And then over time, naturally, everyone's like, oh no, bring him in, which I loved that my coworkers did that. They're like, just bring him in. I want to say hi. And he just comes in. You just see his little head just come behind me, grabbing stuff, just coming back around. They hear him in the background, and it is normal. And you're right.
Isn't it beautiful how
want to
people
come.
just adjust?
Yes.
They just adjust.
There was no email sent. There was no edict of anything. It just happened. And you're right. I do not want to go back to what it was, that misconception that we have to appear perfect and honestly sterile on a call or at work. I don't want to appear that way anymore. I have a life. I have a son. I have a husband. We gonna do our thing. Here's our times. We can adjust. I can even take a call while I'm walking if necessary. But they need to know that, instead of just me being this 24/7 available person that's there, but still managing expectations and still getting the work done.
Yeah. Deshawn?
Most definitely. So it's interesting because I think so many companies have adopted the notion of being able to bring your authentic selves to work. But truthfully, we would only bring a portion of ourselves to work. So now that everyone has worked from home, I encouraged my team to say, listen, if your kids need you, like, you could put us on mute for a second. I don't mind you stepping away. I actually don't even mind you taking your lunch if you're on a video call or you need to have breakfast. I actually was pregnant through a good portion of the pandemic, and having lost, I miscarried twice beforehand, and the physicians could not find any reason why. So I'm going to say that it was stress. That being said, when I got pregnant inside this pandemic, my promise to myself was a complete reevaluation of priorities. It is not going to be work. I will show up at work. I will put my best foot forward, but I'm not going to put it forward at the sake of my family and my baby that I was carrying. And so there's lots of things that I did. I think first and foremost, I would show up to meetings in my workout clothes. Sure did. And I encourage other people to do so too, because if you decide that you are going to go jump on your Peloton for a 20-minute session and it's in between meetings, well, you don't really have time. So you need to put on your workout clothes beforehand. And I was okay with that. Now, of course, dress for your workday, figure out who you're going to be in front of. But I encourage that. Also did walking meetings with my team. And so it would literally be like, hey, all we're going to do is round robin of updates. And so everyone, if you feel like you want to get out there and walk, we would literally be walking. And I did not have to make everything a video call. That was one of the things that really happened during this pandemic. We went from, okay, being in the office to now you have to sit in front of a computer screen for hours. We completely forgot that there's telephone, there's a dial-in number. We let all of that go. And so I started to shift that back once I felt like the pendulum had swung way too far and I was out of sync, and I was sitting in a chair literally for 10 hours a day, back to back to back meetings. Like, you couldn't even have time for a bathroom break. And I was like, this is not going to work. And so those are some of the things that I did, and I am thankful for it because I've got a beautiful baby boy here now. And after suffering loss, it makes you reprioritize ruthlessly.
Absolutely. Thank you, ladies. Thank you. I hope y'all are taking notes because they are dropping gems for sure. So how have you continued to show up professionally at times when it felt overwhelming? And we'll start with Alexis.
That's my life. It's just, one, I give everyone the expectation that when there's stressful moments, especially within security. So in AWS security, there's a lot of things that drop at the, at top of the hat. Just happens. Like, pin drop, you have to now run and now escalate to hundreds of people to kind of get things done and get things in order. It happens, right? But the biggest thing is to still be honest. So there was a situation that actually occurred, I think last week, where a bomb dropped. And the first thing I said when we got into a quick call to kind of discuss, like, hey guys, I'm going through something right now, so I may not be in my best, snappy, ready to go normal self. I'm working through it, but we're able to still be able to deliver. The other thing too is also delegating some things away. So it's hard for me personally, especially, I know for a lot of women and Black women especially, we think we have to take care of everything. And save the world. And that's our duty and our job and our responsibility, or also our burden because of the unrealistic pressures that we either put on ourselves or society puts on us to be above and beyond in everything, and the first or the best and the last, or it might be the last at a job. And that's unfair. So there are times, especially during the pandemic, where I'm like, look, like mentally, I gotta take a break. I can't be here. I'm glad, Deshaun, that you actually shared your story, because during the pandemic, I had a miscarriage, and that was my first time having it, and I didn't know what to do. But the initial thought at first was, oh, just get back to work and burrow through it, right? Barrel through it. That was not appropriate, obviously, for me. But the second thought, and it was like maybe about 4 hours after the first thought, was I need to take extra days off. I just need to do it. And at first, I was so nervous of even saying that, even though I know my management and my leadership would have been just fine. I was worried about what they would think of me, like of taking that time off and appearing emotional, right? So I did it. I'm so happy I did it. They gave me more time. Like, no, you go. You do what you need to do. And I delegated, and my team was ready. They're like, this is what you prepared us for. Like, something's going to happen. Things have happened to us. There's team members that I've had that had COVID, and I stepped in and helped. So it's like, we do need to understand that, one, it's okay to say I need help, not just personally, but also professionally. You don't have to disclose everything you're going through, but be honest about the time frame you're going to be out, what you're going to need, what support system you're going to need to be able to rally around you, and also who you can delegate your responsibilities and tasks to. That's also part of the job too, is for them to figure it out. They got to figure it out. You don't have to figure everything out on your own.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Thank you. Deshaun.
Ooh, that's a lot. Yes, I agree with all of that. I think that you have to make sure that you have some type of backup plan in place. Alexis, my heart goes out to you. Clearly, I have been there, and I will tell you all that on my first miscarriage, I was at the end of my first trimester and found out I was miscarrying at 7 a.m. At 10 a.m., I was on a plane to London. I thought I just had to barrel through it and keep going. And it was a plane to London for work, not personal, for work. And miscarried on the flight there, like the whole nine, on the back. Okay. It was a lot. And I would encourage everyone to not do it. Right now I'm advocating actually on a few different boards for companies to start implementing leave for miscarriages. It does not exist in this particular country, whereas it does exist in several other countries. And so that's something that we essentially need to make sure that we're focusing on. But we've got to do the work, and we have to definitely take care of ourselves and take care of each other, and use your voice. And again, if you're not in a space where you feel as though you can use your voice, even through a sponsor, then that's something else to think about.
Absolutely. Dakita, I want to give you an opportunity to add to that as well.
I just want to add two very quick points that work for me. I'm all about sharing the things that work for me because I know they'll work for you. Number one, honesty. Being honest about where you stand. Deshaun, I noticed that every single meeting was a Zoom. And I was like, when I was in the office, we weren't doing in-person meetings. So why is everything a Zoom just because we're at home? I don't want to put a bra on right now. I don't want to take the scarf off. I can't go to see my hairdresser because of COVID. Like, why do they want to see me? Why does everybody want to see each other? So I spoke up to my direct manager and I said, listen, I don't necessarily want to be on Zoom today because, again, I have my daughter sitting next to me. And out of respect for her privacy, my camera will be off. And you know what he said? Cool. And I moved on. Now, not everyone is in that position. I understand that. But the fact is, I spoke up because I knew, like, I don't want to be seen today. And unless you want to see these things bobbing around without a bra on, let me have my camera off. Secondly, why are people not taking time off because we're home? Guess what? I fell victim to that. I was not taking personal days. And very quickly, again, it took me crying in a corner to say, I need to take some days off. I emailed my team. I said, listen, I will be taking 3 mental health days. And going forward, maybe every Friday I'll take a half day, but I need to protect my mentality because y'all read the article. I was standing in the middle of the store about to knock over wine bottles. Help me. I like this job, I need help. So this is what's going to help me. So I spoke up about it, and that really shifted things for me. And when I was able to take those mental health days, I could show up professionally and be who I needed to be for this company.
Absolutely. I love that. It's a reminder that we have some responsibility for our own wellness, and to protect those boundaries. So I love that. So I'm going to give our audience an opportunity to ask some questions, maybe one or two before I ask the final question. So any questions? I'm looking. Let's see. Okay. Hold on, y'all. Let me make sure I'm looking in the right place. Okay. So we don't have any questions that I can see. Lord, I hope I'm not missing them, y'all. I'm going to go to the next question, and then someone's going to help me make sure I haven't missed a question. So what final thoughts or insights would you like to leave our audience with today? And we'll start with you, Deshawn.
Find your why, and then find a way in which to integrate your why in a creative but meaningful way that works for your life and that brings about sustainability and longevity. You're going to have your moments of exhaustion and burnout, but figure out what is going to keep you going. Continue to try different things until something works. But I would say a big thing that's worked for me, and I hope that, all of you will find your voice, is tap into that space of you have to be an advocate for yourself, right? Or find that community that can speak up for you when you cannot. And if you need that within the household, if you need that literally, at work, whatever it is, just make sure that you are cultivating that for yourself, because it's going to be so incredibly critical for each of us to be whole, to be able to deliver the best for our children and our family.
Love that. Takeda?
I think my running theme today has just been speaking up, speaking out, just starting in your home, within your household. I had several conversations with my husband. Funny story where he almost lost his life. He came home one day, the house was a mess. I was a mess. Everything was going on. And he literally came in here and looked me in my face and said, it wasn't time to clean up. You've been home all day. Now, ladies, I let it pass. However, we had a conversation that night and I let him know, you leave to go to work every day. I am still working just as hard at this dining room table with these kids and this dog. So I leaned on him. I told him I need to lean on you for dinner a couple times a week. I need to lean on you when Leilani is having a meltdown and I can't get up to take her outside to get air. I need to lean on you. Speak up. Your partner is there, whether it's a husband, whether it's a wife, whether it's a mom or a dad. So they're there to help you. So you can't do it all on your own. Speak up so you can get the help that you need. Because if you zip those lips, everyone's going to think you're a strong Black woman and you don't need any help. And that's just not the case.
Thank you. Alexis?
I was reading the chat. I think I want to direct my last piece to the single moms out there. I will say, as a child of a single mother that had to make it work, one of the things that we connected over is the idea that, she felt like she wasn't doing as much or didn't have as much access and as much, enables for her to succeed because of the fact that, she was doing her thing. She was a killer at IBM. She graduated MIT, got her master's. She's a pioneer. As a child of a single mother, the one thing that is very important in thinking is that your kids will be okay. I know it's hard to go out and do what you're doing, especially during the pandemic. I know it's hard to not feel like you have someone to lean on, but your kids get it. That's the one thing I want to say, because one thing that it's always wondering, especially just as a mom in general, is just, am I doing enough for my child? Are they going to understand the struggles that we're going through? And do they understand that it's not about them? I'm trying to put food on the table, get things going, and achieve my dreams. Are they going to understand? I'm here to tell you that they will. They will get it. It may not be immediately. I'm just being real. It may not be immediately. It will come eventually. But I just need you to understand that seeing you as a mother, working and doing your thing, being independent, getting things done, striving and achieving your dreams, that is a lesson that no one can buy. I can't read that. I can't figure that out. I can't go talk to someone else about that. That's just lived through experience watching my mother do what she does. And it's made me be a better wife. It's made me be a better mother watching her do that. So I know that it's hard, especially during this pandemic, like to go and do all this and balance everything. But your kids will eventually get it.
Absolutely.
So I just want to just lay that out.
Yeah, no, thank you all. We do have to wrap. This was an awesome panel. Thank you for spending the time with me. Mamas, protect your peace. Whatever self-care looks like for you today, I challenge you to extend that. Take it a step further. It's not just that 10 minutes you get in the car in front of your house. Take it further. All right. Thanks, ladies.
Thank you for having me.
We still alive?
Are
we? Okay. We gonna dance it out until it's over. What?